Hello, accounting scholars. Hey, welcome to Chapter 9. Also, hey, great job on Chapter 8. You guys nailed that chapter test, and I'm sure you're going to do as well on Chapter 9 as you did on Chapter 8, especially if you keep up to date on your notes. So let's get started. We're going to talk about recording and evaluating the conversion process activities in this particular chapter. We're going to drill down here and talk about how to record those specific activities. But to kick things off, let's kind of orientate ourselves in terms of where we've been and where we're going. So we've done the revenue cycle part of the business process. You know, that's all about getting orders. The expenditure cycle we just completed in the last chapter. You know, that's all about after you get the orders, buying the stuff, hiring the people, paying the people to make the orders happen. And then the last step in that process is the conversion activity, which is essentially making the stuff. So we're going to focus on that particular area in this chapter. So let's get started. So the first area that we want to talk about is what are the primary activities in the conversion process. And you know, this particular picture is a kind of a simplistic overview of the conversion process, but you know, basically you have raw materials, and you know, this could be a representation, for instance, of a company like IKEA that makes furniture. You have raw materials. You take those materials, you move them into the factory for assembly or finishing, and then once you've completed that, you move those out to the finished goods warehouse. And so the conversion process has a series of steps associated with that. So let's kind of roll through these. So you know, first is scheduling of production. Obviously, if you're going to be making a large batch of items, you need to schedule that to make sure everything arrives on time and you've got all the pieces of the puzzle. Second is you need to obtain raw materials. So you need to move raw materials into the production process and get those raw materials ready so that you can essentially use labor and manufacturing resources to convert those raw materials into finished goods. Kind of what's shown here in the middle picture. You know, the raw material is now on the factory floor, and the IKEA assembly person on the line is adding value. And then once you make that happen, then you store those goods, those finished goods. And that's the key word there, finished goods, until the goods are sold. And those are typically stored in a warehouse. So those are the primary activities in the conversion process. Let's talk a little bit about which one of those conversion process activities are actually accounting events. So first of all, we talked about obtaining raw materials. Well, that is definitely a accounting event because that involves increasing work in process inventory and decreasing direct materials inventory. So that is obtaining raw materials is definitely an accounting event. Secondly, using labor and overhead. As we show here in the middle picture, where we've got direct labor here on the IKEA assembly line, and he's in a factory, so there's overhead associated with that. So the accounting event here is it increases work in process inventory. You'll hear that term frequently through this chapter. An acronym for that is WIP. Cost accountants really use that term frequently. And then last but not least, when you store finished goods, in this particular picture here in the warehouse, you're actually increasing finished goods inventory, but you're decreasing work in process inventory. So those are the conversion process activities that would be that would initiate accounting events. Okay, what is the basic flow of information in the conversion process? We talked about this as related to the inventory process in the expenditure side of things in the last chapter, but there's a particular flow of information in this particular area as well. And the steps here start with the customer. The customer places an order, and based upon the order placement, production is scheduled. This might happen to you frequently when you place an online order. You'll get a reply back from the vendor saying, hey, your order is scheduled for shipment on XXX date. Well, the reason they're able to do that is after you place the order, they actually put it into the production schedule, which then allowed them to tell you when it would likely be shipped to you. Okay, so that's the first step in the basic flow of information. The second step is raw materials. You need to take those raw materials, sometimes called direct materials, and you need to requisition them and record them. So that's the second step in the process. Third step in the process is labor. Labor obviously is used in the manufacturing process, again here shown in that middle picture, and it is recorded. The cost accountants now get involved because a cost record is prepared and the goods are manufactured. The last step in the process is the goods are actually then completed, and the fact that they are completed and finished, they are also then recorded. So that's the basic flow of information. Customer places an order, direct materials or raw materials are requisitioned and recorded. Labor is used and recorded. A cost record is created and goods are manufactured, and then goods are completed, and those finished goods are recorded. Okay, let's move on to the manufacturing accounts or manufacturing inventory accounts that are impacted by this. And as you might suspect, you would have a T account called direct materials inventory. And basically that T account reflects the cost of the direct materials on hand, and that's the $10,000 there. Increases when direct materials are purchased, and in that case that's $17,500, and decreases when direct materials are issued and into into production, and that's at $19,000 credit. So again here, direct materials and raw materials are those particular terms are going to be used throughout the chapter. Okay, guys, we're going to cut it here, and please make sure you've taken good notes, and you'll be quizzed on it tomorrow. Have a great night.